this, I believe, is episode 6 or issue 6 of Golden Heroes. This is Legacy of Eagles part 3, I think. I've been very remiss in uploading the audio, I hate to say, but I will get around to it.
Our fans will be disappointed.
Yeah, many legions of fans will be, our legions of bots who listen to the YouTube will be devastated. So basically, where we left things last time, we had you had managed to recapture Protector. So Protector, if you recall, and I don't know if you're all in the VTT. Yeah, you are. So Protector, if you remember, was a hero, a fallen hero from the team known as the Eagles. He'd basically gone insane some years ago. You'd been asked to intervene when he was being the secure vehicle that he was being transported in was attacked. You subdued the villains who were trying to break him out, and you then had to subdue Protector himself, which I seem to remember involved a cricket bat to the mush. Essentially, and you'd learnt that Agent Smith from DICE, who was your acting liaison as Major Dawson is off somewhere at some conference, had, and with your interrogation of the supervillains as well, you'd learned that there is the person behind the attempt to liberate Protector is a supervillain known as Overlord. And you have learnt that he has occupied some sort of underwater facility, and that he had a submarine which was waiting nearby. Well, I say nearby, outside of town in the river. And the plan was that Protector was going to be captured by the supervillains, taken back to the submarine, and then presumably taken to the base. So you've learnt of the existence of this submarine, and the plan is that you are going to go and try and essentially take over the submarine and then track Overlord down to his base. Hello, Kerrin. I can see you've joined us. Welcome.
Yeah, sorry, I'm late.
Not a problem at all. I was just recapping briefly from last time, which as I recall, involved you whacking Protector in the mush with a cricket bat at one point. I seem to remember how he was eventually subdued. So anyway, that's where we pick things up. So you have been given guidance by, as I say, Agent Smith from DICE, and you have been directed to where this submarine. Basically, DICE had sent a scout out to go and check out the location, and has confirmed that there is this high-tech submarine hidden in a nearby river, awaiting the return of. It was Python and Froststorm, wasn't it, were the two supervillains? So, yeah. And they're waiting to basically, presumably, take Protector and to return back to this Overlord's base. So what I'll do is, if I jump over to, if you're on the VTT. So, oh yeah, nice picture of the submarine. I playing around with a bit of AI art again, just like took a picture from the original scenario and jazzed it up a little bit. So basically, this is basically the setup as has been laid out to you by the DICE agent scout. So what I'll do is, so basically, this is it's obviously a fairly big river. I mean, it's the geography on this is fairly vague, but doesn't really matter. And you've been made aware that this submarine is surfaced. And that there are several of the soldiers are around the location. So again, this map is representative of what's being told to you by the scouts. What I'm going to do is give you a minute to have a think about how you want to approach this. I'll drag, while you're doing that, I'm just going to drag your tokens down onto the map. So just carry on without me for a second while I get this organised.
Can I just say, I'm not quite. I know we've got to get into the submarine, but I can't remember why. And also, I'm being investigated for ADHD. This is probably clinical. Help! What are we doing? I mentally blinked.
We want to go on because
the Overlord is in an underwater secret base.
No, he's not. Overlord has kidnapped Micron and is attempting to find the location of the Eagle's secret underground base. So they were trying to break out Protector, because Protector obviously knew where it was, but he's insane. So the only other person that was available, that's left alive, so to speak, is the part-time Eagle, Micron. So we've traced him back to the Scuttlebutt. This is the submarine, and he is going to attempt to, we guess, open the long lost Eagle's underwater base.
So as far as
Micron is on the submarine, having been captured by Overlord.
So obviously you don't know who's on the submarine, other than the submarine is clearly there.
Yeah.
And again, the information that you've been given by the captured supervillains, i.e., so Froststorm, again, and it has been a while. So Froststorm was only too eager to help. Basically, he's a fairly pathetic, low-level hireling. And pretty much as soon as Dice started leaning on him a bit, he kind of coughed to everything. And he's the one who's given you the name of Overlord. And Overlord is a name that, again, you in your individual superheroing endeavors may not be familiar with, other than that you've been advised by Dice that he's a person of interest. He's a technological based guy, so he wears a suit of armor and he's got a high tech, and he seems to have pretensions of world domination, the usual thing that these people worry about. He's so you don't know where he is currently, although again Froststorm has told you that he's behind this, and he's told you about the submarine. And I also remember that you managed to get something out of Python, who basically confirmed it, although she wasn't best pleased by the fact that you'd managed to get some information out of her. She's much more intimidating than Froststorm. But essentially, the reason you're trying to get to the submarine is simply that that's where the evidence is leading you to. That's where they've told you. He's either on the submarine or it's going to where he is, or but basically the submarine is your next logical point of access. So I'm just about to drag over phase strikes counter, so just bear with me a moment. I'm just messing around with, no, that's not what I wanted. I do love this VTT, but sometimes it's a bit irritating. Okay, there we go. Just bear with me for a sec. Now, obviously, I appreciate that. Given obviously this, obviously the map is a very, very tight area. So, what I'll do is I'll sort of cluster you over here. I'll assume that you are out of sight. You're going to approach covertly, but basically it's up to you how you want to handle this. So again, from the information you've received, there's two guys manning the conning tower of the submarine. There appears to be some form of weapon, a turret mounted weapon on the submarine. You've got one guy fiddling about with with the boat, which is kind of a rib, beached on the side of the river. And then there's obviously a sentry's been placed in one of the trees overlooking the sub. So over to you as to how you want to handle it, basically.
So a question about Sonar's powers. So Sonar, your power is you emit a sonic boom.
Like ultrasonic waves, yeah.
An ultrasonic wave. Is an ultrasonic wave underwater able to create an air pocket or a disturbance?
Do you know what? I mean, this is a superhero game, so I would be so the way that Golden Heroes works, there is the capability for you to kind of refine powers. So as far as I'm concerned, that's a comic book thing to say.
Right.
So the first thing to say is that your ultrasonic power certainly would work underwater because obviously
He's
sound wave
naval, isn't
travel.
he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I would be more than happy to. We could retrofit that, or what we could do is I'll make a note of it, and then when we get round to your at
You
the
haven't
end
heard
of the
my idea
scenario.
yet.
Okay. Well, we'll. So the first thing to say, the first thing to say is that yes, your ultrasonic weapon first of all will work underwater, and
Yeah.
I'm open to creative uses. So
Okay, so one of the possibilities of the Bermuda Triangle is pockets of methane being released from the Earth's core, and that creating a. If you put bubbles under somebody that's underwater, it removes their buoyancy, so they sink.
Yep.
So the potential idea is sonar. Captain Sonar goes to one end of the ship, fires a burst of sonar, creating that disruptive water, making the submarine sink a couple of feet, but something distinctive, and then we can say effectively surrender or we'll scuttle your ship, kind of thing. Kind of use that. Whilst we won't be able to properly scuttle the ship, that might have the effect of dropping it suddenly. Only needs to be a couple of feet, but just enough to shake the ship for us to go, we've got a bigger weapon. As a bluff kind of thing, surrender or we'll scuttle your ship.
So our bluff is that we're going to sink a submarine.
Well, yeah, but if you scuttle it, whilst yes, it can sink itself, but that sheer drop should be enough to frighten them, and that's the best idea they got at that moment.
the other bit of relatively good news is, well, so first of all, I love that idea. Again, to reiterate, Golden Heroes is a comic book game, so it's not. I don't think it's like genre appropriate to kind of be like, oh well, you can't do that because it doesn't say that you can. This is a superhero game, so if you can come up with a creative use of your powers, then I'm here for it. And there are, as I say, there are rules about training where you can then refine powers later. So we could work that into something that he does, in between adventures to kind of refine that.
Isn't he a submariner? Isn't he a naval?
Well, he's a Navy officer,
Mm-hmm.
and he was working on. If I and I'm Jason can correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm sure he was working on. It was to do with
technology. So that's where Mark.
Yeah, no, it totally works for me. I think that's totally cool. Yeah, I mean, I'm okay with that, and I would certainly argue that if you want to do that, he could basically shoot his use his ultrasonic blast to certainly destabilize the submarine and mess with its buoyancy, so the thing looks like it's going to sink. And to be fair, you're in a river, so you're not in the ocean. So even if it did sink,
Actually,
you're not gonna...
but rather than directly underneath it, if you do it to one side to make the ship, instead of go down, kind of sink
to one side.
List suddenly to the left. That might be a better effect.
Let's shoot this submarine and see if we can make it lift. Maybe these guys will just fall off the top. Who knows?
That's an added bonus. So okay, so that's your first plan of attack. So what about the what are you gonna do anything about, or what the rest do you think? Anyone else want to have anything else to throw on?
Well, my idea was just try and lob something to the other side of the henchmen to create a distraction, to make them look the other way so that we could get through the water to the submarine. I'm not sure how that would work with this methane fart gun. Sorry, that is the level of my humour. You mentioned the word methane and it's shooting bubbles of gas, and that's it. I'm gone. Yeah.
But as sonar dumps into the water, I'll turn to you and go, yeah, methane fart gun, that works.
I'm not taking the blame for that.
The other thing I can do is enhancement flight on everyone, and we can just fly over to the ship.
I like the idea. I tell you what, though, I like the idea of the because so your major problem in getting on board the submarine. I mean, to be fair, the two henchmen on the shore are not too much of an issue. I'm sure Hyde could take them out easily, or Phase Strike could certainly take out the guy in the tree with an arrow without too much trouble. obviously you've got these two guys on the conning tower who, and to be fair, as you're observing from your kind of place of concealment, I mean, they look pretty bored. They're having a conversation. They're like those two stormtroopers in, on the Death Star who are chatting about stuff. They're not paying any attention, and they're obviously just having a chat. And they don't seem to be elite, soldiers or anything. They're manning the gun, but obviously they are a bit. If they see you come in, they could, attack you with the gun. So, if nothing else, the ultrasonic weapon's got a very good chance of tipping them into the drink, which certainly would, and also, of course, that would have the benefit of anybody on the submarine would be thrown off balance. If the thing suddenly lists to, violently shakes to one side, then
the other thing, yeah. So the other thing I could do is I could turn into the dragon, blast some energy into the water. Then we have the ship list, and we effectively say surrender, or the dragon sinks you.
I mean, I thought you were just going to I thought you were just going to go fishing like an eagle and just fly off with the submarine. To be honest, I mean, last time you were fighting a spaceship.
Yeah, but we realised we've
toned that one down slightly.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's happened is a new writing team has taken over the title, and they've gone. I can't write stories to cover that guy. He's too powerful. Happened to Superman all the time in the 70s. So,
dragon. The dragon can be the backup. Come on,
the dragon. 1 minute, the dragon's always the backup, isn't he?
1 minute he's a Phantom Stranger. The next minute he's Dave from Accounts.
Yeah, exactly. We should have called your character Plan B, because the dragon is always Plan B, basically, right?
Yeah. I've tried to avoid using it until the last, but yes, that's
it's like the nuclear option, isn't it? You go nuclear, then there's nowhere to go down from there.
Plan methane fart.
Plan B isn't Plan B the morning after pill? Isn't that the name of a morning after pill?
That might be. Strangely, that doesn't seem inappropriate, does it? Anyway, fine. So
it was one time.
So, I mean, what we can do here is it depends how you want to. So basically, you've got 4 opponents. Now, again, I think the ultrasonic attack perfectly viable, and obviously Captain Sonar can do that unopposed, because all he's got to do is basically kind of get into the water and aim his ultrasonic attack at the submarine at a designated point. And that's that. They're not going to see that coming. They'll hear it because even though it's underwater, it's going to make a hell of a noise. But the point is, you can do that pretty much at any point, when you're ready. So the question is, I guess, do you want to do anything about these two? So, for example, does Phase Strike want to try and take them out with bow and arrow from a distance, or do you want to do it simultaneously? How do you want to handle it?
I'm happy to try and take out the guy up in the tree, because he'd have a better shot at us. I think from his vantage point up there.
And shall I try and handle the guy near the dinghy?
Yeah, that sounds great. So I'll tell you what we're doing. We're not going to go into initiative or anything for this, because again, it's you've obviously got the element of surprise. I don't think there's any need to go down that whole mechanic route, because this is a relatively straightforward situation. So I think what we'll do first is, and I think the first thing to do is probably we'll get Phase Strike to have a pop at the bloke in the tree. So all I need you to do is, let's have a little look here. I'm just going to bring up your character sheet, if you bear with me.
It's the guy in the ribs sitting on one edge of the ribs.
Yeah, basically, he's actually got a handler. He's got his back to you. He seems to be fiddling with the outboard motor. He's not
sitting on it. Oh, that's a shame. If he was sitting on it, then
he is. He's sitting on the because it's an inflatable.
Hit the other end that he's not sitting on with a hammer, and it should shoot him off like some kind of crazy swing.
I like that idea. Okay, so let's do Phase Strike first. So Phase Strike, you've got obviously you've got your bow and arrow attack.
I have,
and so it's a weapon class 4. So basically, all you really need to do is you're going to need to roll. Bear with me. So the guys in the soldiers have got. Oh god, they haven't got much hope at all, really, have they? Yeah, you've got all you've got to do is you've got to roll a 4 or better to hit him.
With is it a D20? I can't remember.
It's a D20, yeah.
Alrighty, 15.
Yeah, I mean, okay, fine. So you kind of creep around the tree, and you pick your moment, and you let's fly with the arrow. And yeah, he just drops. We'll because it's a family friendly 1980s comic book. We'll gloss over the fact that he's probably got an arrow sticking out of his head, but he drops from the tree. Let's say he's subdued, and you've achieved that stealthily. There's nobody else notices because he was perched up in the tree and he just literally drops from the tree. Okay, so
Steve, can we say that the guy by the dinghy, he did notice him drop, and the moment he turns to look is when I'll use my super speed to rush in and
perfect. So you charge over there. All you've got to do is, it depends how you want to handle it. Again, I'm going to say that you have got. So again, I will get you to roll just to make sure nothing untoward happens. But
I've got one where I can run up and hit them. Right?
You have. So it's called a charge into combat.
Yes,
it's weapon class 3, and so weapon class 3 versus he's got defense class. So yeah, you've got to get a 5 or better to hit him. So just roll that D20. Perfect. In fact, okay, you've pretty much nailed that. So you zip in there at hyper speed. And you flatten him with one blow. And meanwhile, then we'll get Captain Sonar can fire his ultrasonic weapon at this point. So obviously the guys on the turret, kind of, one of them is, as I say, they're both they're kind of passing the time of day effectively. And one of them thinks he sees something because obviously this is what distance is this? 1, 2, 8, 9, 10. So it's about 20 meters. So he's, he goes, "Did you see that?" To his, you assume that's what he says. He sort of looks and sees something. He's not quite sure what he sees. So at this point, you hit your energy blast. Now you're not going to have to make an attack roll for this, honestly, because you're not attacking. What you're doing is you're literally shooting a beam of your ultrasonic weapon. So I'll tell you what. Roll a D20. As long as you don't roll a 1, then perfect. So you unleash your energy blast under the water, and there's this massive sort of rumbling roar, and sure enough, as you sort of aim to the let's say you're going to the obvious place to aim is somewhere sort of here to the you're aiming at the kind of front of the starboard bow area, and there's this massive rumbling, and sure enough, as Kevin explained, the flotation of the submarine is disturbed to such an extent that the thing suddenly violently tips over to the right. There you go. And these two guys essentially are unceremoniously dumped into the drink. So, did you just draw that?
Yeah, I was going to draw my sonar attack, but I'm just ruining your show. Sorry.
No, that's all right. There you go. There we go.
Is that a Pokemon?
Yeah, it's a sonar. It's a ghost type Pokemon.
It's the worst methane fart ever.
Well, I don't know. When you describe it that way, it kind of works. No, it's fine. Don't apologise to me. I love it.
Is it a speech bubble?
Yes. Just put fart in there.
I mean, why do you think I'm facing the camera?
There we go. Look, it's animated as well.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's like you're almost there.
It's like a motion comic book. This is brilliant.
Eat your heart out, Pixar. Okay, so these two guys go. They sort of go whoa and get unceremoniously tipped into the river. And obviously they're not injured. They, and the submarine, as I say, kind of goes to like a 60-degree angle to the starboard, and it sort of rocks there for a minute, and then it eventually, after a minute, it begins to sort of right itself. But these two are both spluttering. You can see them in the water, and they're sort of swimming for the shore. But effectively, they can't do much. They're just going to leg it they're not going to put up any sort of resistance. So the submarine is there for you to investigate. So I guess you can. It depends how you want to get there. Obviously,
I'll cast enhancement flight on everyone individually,
fine.
and we'll just fly over.
Yeah. So you pick them up, and you deposit them on the submarine. And okay.
Can I take the dinghy actually? Because I was at the dinghy. I'll take the dinghy.
Yeah, absolutely. Please take the dinghy. Yeah.
Who knows? We might need it at some point.
Yeah. Oh, it moves. I forgot it moved. Geez, I did put some effort into this map, didn't I? Okay, cool. So you, yeah, there you go. So you managed to board the submarine. So you get onto the submarine, and obviously there's a conning tower at the top. And I don't know if any of you want to like disable the. I don't know if you want to disable the weapon on the conning tower.
Does anyone have the ability to do that?
I mean, I guess someone could punch it, or I could look at it. It's technology, isn't it?
Yeah,
I guess
my cricket bat has a function that disables weapons.
What sort of cannon is this?
It is, and I believe I wrote this down somewhere. It is another. So it's described in the scenario as a photon cannon, but I think it's essentially a similar weapon to the cannon that the hovercraft had from when you dealt with it last time. It's basically it's an energy weapon of some sort. It's clearly quite high tech. Now, bearing in mind again, just to remind everyone, this is the 1980s. And obviously there is high tech in the setting. As we said, there are super scientists. But yeah, it's clearly a pretty advanced piece of kit. So, but I mean, it doesn't react well to being whacked with a cricket bat. So, if you want to disable it, a quick blow from Hyde will render it inoperative, at least for the moment.
Well, do we want to do that, or do we want to sort of preserve it so we'll just take the battery out or something?
Yeah.
Just in
Jason,
case.
Jason, can you draw another graphic of someone taking the battery out, please? Because I didn't consider that.
I don't know. We don't necessarily want to destroy it, right? Do we want to I work for the government, and we might want to take some of this.
I mean, I'm thinking we've got a hover car. We're about to have a submarine. I mean, come on, let's not trash the ride, guys.
So if we can remove a part to stop it from functioning but not break it, I think that might be better.
Yeah, I think Captain Sonar can easily take a capacitor out or something, because he's a techie, so he can easily disable it.
Okay.
Sorry, sir.
I've got a potato in the barrel. Have we got any potatoes?
Potato.
I've got a spud. No.
I can quite easily just slash through any visible wires, which can be fixed later, but they won't be fixed.
Yeah, that's true.
There you go. Non-functional, nice.
Yeah.
I'm just going to let you draw the maps from now on. I don't need to put all this effort in.
It's all my early 2000 MS Paint skills coming back.
I love it.
So it's actually Captain Etch-a-Sketch.
Captain Etch-a-Sketch.
It's got a magic pencil.
Well, we know he's just had a child, so
yeah. Jamie and the magic torch. It's
yes.
Okay. Right. So I mean, if okay, so to summarize, because again, you've disabled the weapon, as we can see with the handy graphic there. And this submarine it's a small submarine, but it's clearly big enough to hold quite a few people. But it's not like a navy, like a military nuclear submarine. It's obviously
you could smuggle cocaine in this thing.
Yeah, you could easily. It's bigger than a mini sub, but it's not like a full size huge nuclear submarine or something. But basically, you get to this conning tower, and there's a hatch in the top, and if you open the conning tower, so basically, who's going to go in first? I guess is the question.
I'm happy to go in first.
Okay,
yeah,
so
me.
I'll go in first. I'm happy to go in first.
Okay, so you basically you kind of it's got a wheel to open it, so you sort of open the wheel, and as you open the hatch, you can hear sounds of confusion from below. So there clearly are other people on board, and basically, they obviously they're recovering from the fact that this submarine's just been shook unexpectedly. So most of them probably bounced off a bulkhead or two. Do you wish to proceed down the ladder? The ladder's about, I don't know, it's probably 10 feet or so. It's again, this submarine is like, if you imagine it's a scaled down submarine. It's, as I say, it's not massive, but
yeah, I'll jump down. No, I'll slide down. You know, when you hold the sides and put your feet on it and just
yeah, because you've got to do that, haven't you? When there's a ladder, you can't miss the opportunity to slide
Gotta do
down
that.
with and
Gotta
hold
do
it.
that.
Absolutely right. Yeah.
I'll
Right, so you-
pass down a bullseye lantern and a 10-foot pole.
I think you might be thinking of the wrong game here, but there is light.
Potato,
Obviously.
potato.
Yeah, there is electric light coming from within. So you slide down the ladder in a very very cool manner, and as you sort of land dramatically on the deck, you look around, and there are half a dozen what can best be described as sailors. So they're wearing similarly coloured clothing to the guys you've encountered before. However, you note quickly that none of them seem to be armed, so they're not soldiers. They seem to be the crew of the submarine. And again, they're kind of there's half a dozen of them in the control room. The control room is it's about the length of the conning tower. You know, you can see from the diagram there. And it is, as you'd expect a submarine control room to look like. So it is crammed with there's pipes, and there are spinning, sonar displays and control stations, and everything looks quite new. So it looks, it's not like it's some sort of surplus thing. This all looks quite shiny and new. But the crew are all basically, as I say, in various stages of having been knocked off their feet. And you kind of look around for a target. So
yes,
we want to do, as you get in, go say, I say, chaps, have any of you got a mop and bucket? We seem to have spilt some blood up top.
yeah, yes,
and would you mind surrendering?
Yes, while you're at it, drop your weapons.
Yeah. You can probably just stand there, kind of, that kind of whacking your cricket bat into your palm of your hand.
Oh yeah, it's a nice one.
And sort of like, who's next? And I mean, to be honest, immediately as you board the submarine, as I say, one of the gentlemen, one of the crew members, drags himself to his feet, and he seems to be more senior than the others. He's wearing again, he's got like gold braid on his dark uniform, and he sort of raises both hands and he says, "No need for violence. We surrender."
Oh,
I'm sorry, I'm deaf.
Whack.
Oh, yeah. I'll hit you anyway.
Pow.
Yeah, he says, we surrender. Men, stand away from your stations. Offer no resistance. Cool. Even better. Look at that. Right. So, Hyde, what do you want to do? So you're in the control room expecting a ruck, and they've all kind of just gone, "We surrender."
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll tell them that I assume a lot of them are armed, right?
No, none of them are armed.
None of them are armed whatsoever.
No, they're all wearing sort of coveralls. Like I say, similarly, dark sort of black and red. So obviously a similar uniform to to the soldiers that you've encountered, but none of them are obviously armed. And this gentleman, who you assume to be in charge, or the captain, for want of a better word, he immediately sort of picks himself off the floor and he just says, "We surrender. Men, step away from your stations. Offer no resistance."
Okay. I'm going to ask him how large the crew is first of all.
It says there's us 6 here, and there are 2 more in the engineering space, and there is 1 in the weapons room at the bow. But I will, if you will allow me to use the intercom, I will order them all to surrender.
Yeah, I assume he answered relatively quickly, and I get no impression that he's lying to me.
Correct. You
Okay.
are. Yeah, you are. Surprisingly, perhaps, but you are convinced that he's being genuine. He
Yeah.
he seems to. There seems to be no subterfuge. He says. I just let me order them to stand down, and we'll offer you no resistance.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like he's a paid man. Like he folded quite quickly. He's not in this to get beaten up. I think I want them all to go topside. So yeah, if he can on his.
So he reaches for one of the like the old typical submarine clip off microphone, and he says, "This is Captain Frew. To all members of the crew, we've been boarded. I'm ordering you to surrender. Make your way forward forward and aft to the control room. Offer no resistance to the boarders. I guarantee you will not be harmed." And he says, again puts his hands up, and sure enough, in a minute or two, two more guys in sort of nicely themed engineering coveralls, kind of dungarees, but in the same colour scheme. They come forward from the rear of the sub, which you presume is the engine room, and again they hold their hands up. And similarly from the front, another chap appears. Again, none of them seem interested in offering any sort of resistance to you. And let's not forget, Hyde is quite an intimidating figure, especially in the small confines of a submarine as well. So yeah, they literally just say, "Yeah, no problem, no problem. It's a fair cop." But he says, "May I speak to you?" To Hyde, "May I speak to you? Once you've secured the men, may we have a conversation?"
In an intimidating fashion, I'll say, "Make it quick."
He says, "Just to make things clear to you, my men and I we're just hirelings. We're hired to crew the submarine. The person we're working for has paid us well, but has not paid us well enough to offer any sort of resistance to you. I have information which I'm willing to divulge. However, I must insist on fair treatment for my crew. I say again, they're simply hired to run the submarine. We've simply been involved in transporting supplies and materials, and that's our only part in this."
Okay, so they're underpaid mercs.
Yeah. Probably not even, probably have been hired, whoever's, if he's built this submarine, he's obviously probably hired, retired Navy people to run it.
Yeah. Have they done anything illegal? Like, I don't want to manhandle or be, do anything to these guys if they're just been hired to do a job and they've not really done anything.
No, they haven't. And as far as you know, so one of these guys were involved in the attack on the convoy to liberate, should we say, Protector. So as far as you know, all they've done is, as he says, they drive the submarine. Now, of course, you don't know if there's other things they've done separately, but as far as you've encountered, they've done nothing illegal other than, one could argue, work for a supervillain.
Yeah.
Again, so again, I guess there might be some, it's up to you guys how you want to handle it. But he certainly could not be more cooperative.
Yeah. I think I will soften on him then as I'm talking. I will soften because he is cooperating. And yeah, we'll definitely keep an eye on them. If we can. I don't know. Do we want to ferry them back to the shore, or do we just want to keep them on top of the deck?
If we're going to go and find this underwater base, we need a crew to take us there.
True. We do.
Unless Captain Sonar could probably. What Captain Sonar could do, I guess, is Captain Sonar could certainly oversee them because he has enough experience with. Let's not forget he's a serving Navy officer, and he also has submarine experience, so he could certainly be able to keep an eye on them to make sure this is not some subterfuge, because again, he knows whereas none of you, I guess, would know anything about driving a submarine, whereas Captain Sonar certainly does. So
yeah.
But basically, his name's Captain Peru, I seem to remember. So he explains to you that as you suspected, him and his crew were simply hired to crew the submarine. He confirms that they are all ex Navy. He says most of them were kind of laid off by the Navy when after the Falklands War. The Navy there was Navy downsize, so some of them were let go, and so his crew were some of them had served together, and they were simply recruited through an intermediary, and they were simply told, you're going to crew a submarine. And he said that they've been working for they know of this character called Overlord. Captain Frew's the only one who has ever met him. And he says, frankly, I'm more than happy to no longer be in his employ. The money he was offering was such that these guys and myself, we couldn't really refuse the work. However, I speak for myself, and I vouch for my men that none of us have any particular loyalty to this person. He says, what I can tell you is that he has discovered, or he has that the Overlord has discovered the location of the Eagle's Nest, which is the undersea base that was formerly occupied by the Eagles. As Kevin mentioned, so Captain Frew simply says that there was the only thing that he saw of the base itself was that Overlord had a woman civilian, transported to the base, along with as he describes it, a miniature man inside some sort of a containment tube, like a test tube, almost like a test tube, but bigger than a test tube. But he said there was literally a small man, and he and this civilian had been brought under guard on the submarine, had been transported to the location of this base, and all that they've been doing is they've been transporting equipment and supplies to the base. And he says that he would be, he says, like, listen, I'm willing to, again, I understand that our position in this is not, we are not innocent. He says, however, I will agree to, and I will, myself and my crew will agree to ferry you to the base. We will even assist you in fooling the defenses to get you into the base. But obviously, I have to ask that you, speak on our behalf to the authorities. That's the best I can do for these men. These are good men, and I will put my, give you my guarantee that we will get you there safely, and we will stand by to bring you back if needed. But again, I ask that you speak for my men, and explain the situation.
Steve, fourth wall question: is there a comic panel with a crew member scowling and mumbling about revenge?
If you want there to be, there certainly can be.
As the captain's saying this, there's this one guy off to the side. I'll get you.
He's like a Russian chef or something. He's like he's like the cook. I mean, again, I guess the situation is it's really up to you how you want to handle. So all I can tell you is that he seems to be genuine.
Yeah.
It's certainly possible that some of his crew may not feel the same way. However, he seems to have discipline over them, and he says, I will guarantee that they will not impede you, and we will deliver you safely to this location. He says, I understand we don't have much to bargain with here, but I will give you that guarantee. I suspect if any of his crew did try and interfere, he would probably be the one to slap them down.
Yeah. So I guess if we state to him then that as long as him and his crew realise that they are will be under arrest, but whatever they do to help us will obviously favour them when it comes to
100%
trials
again,
and what have you.
Yeah, he's it's the 80s, unemployment and so on, and these guys have probably taken they've taken the job because it's a decent paycheck. But again, as far as none of them have done anything illegal at this point.
Yeah.
Other than work association. Yeah. So are the rest of you on board with that decision?
Yeah.
I made a little joke there, you see, on board.
Yes, we heard.
A very little joke, yeah. Okay, so
It went down like a lead balloon.
very good. So we'll assume it takes a few minutes, and again, Captain Sonar can position himself in the control room, and he kind of walks around making sure that they are all doing what they should be doing. And again, it's a small crew, it's a small sub, but I mean the roles are, you've got like a trimsman and a helmsman. So the helmsman steers the thing, the trimsman manages the dive and everything. Obviously the captain's there. You've got a sonar operator, and you've got a couple of general crewmen knocking about, and then obviously there's the guys in the engine room. So I guess, do you want to all, I mean, again, given that whether or not you believe this chap or not, but I guess it would be sensible if you were to all, one of you were maybe to go to each location. So like one of you stays in, well, Sonar stays in the control room, maybe with Hyde or with one of the others, and then one of you goes to the engine room and one of you goes to the to be honest, the guy doesn't need to go to the weapons room, honestly, because so maybe you want to keep him in the control room, but it's probably a good idea to have a couple of you then in each, the control room and the engine room, just to make sure they don't try any funny business. But
yep, that sounds good.
Yeah.
okay, cool.
Have we got torpedoes on the train?
Yeah, it does have torpedoes. I mean, again, it's got like two So okay, so if you do a quick survey of the sub, again, as I said, it looks new. It's every surface is pretty shiny. The engine room, again, it's compact, but it seems to be relatively high tech. It's not nuclear, certainly. It's it's got like I guess it's got like a diesel engine, but it's a very good, it all looks to be top gear. So this guy, whoever Overlord is, he's obviously got some funds, presumably from ill-gotten gains, but he certainly is this thing, if assuming he's paid for this, or it's possible, of course, he might have nicked it from somewhere. But anyway, the sub seems to be in good order. Everything looks to be good. It all looks new. Again, there is an engine room towards the stern. There's a midsection which has got a cramped living area where there is a very, very small, a galley that is basically a cupboard. It's got facilities for making, it's got like a microwave in it, and for making sort of basic meals, kettle and so on, a fridge and all that. And there's a couple of toilets, heads as they call them on subs. And there's a couple of very small bunk rooms where you'd imagine the crew would rotate through. And then again, the control room as described, and then at the front of the boat is a weapons room, and there are basically two torpedoes, which are up on racks, two torpedo tubes, and there are two torpedoes, and they look to be they're probably army surplus. He's presumably bought them from somewhere, black market. But again, it all looks, it looks pretty decent, honestly. And certainly, Captain Sonar, having had a good look around, you're relatively happy that the thing is not going to sink under you. At least, well, not until it's meant to, anyway. But it all seems to be in good order.
Right,
Okay.
nice.
Anyone got anything else they want to check before we move on?
No.
Cool.
No, let's go. Take her down to periscope depth. Let's go.
Dive.
Give me one ping only.
Yeah.
Silly, one ping only for Shelley.
5-degree left rudder.
So you will get all of your submarine cliches out of your system.
Make your depth 200 feet. Oh no, we're in a river. Make your depth 12 feet.
Watch out for crazy Ivans.
Yeah, that's a good point, actually. Obviously, the sub has to sort of cruise. You have to cruise on the surface because, again, you are in a river.
Okay.
Cue
Rick for
some
silent
surprised
running.
people on the riverbank, going, there's a bloody submarine in the river. What's that all about?
If you got any speakers, we could play Rod Stewart's "We Are Sailing" really loud as we're going through, waving at people.
All I would say is, much as I love that idea, all I would say is that obviously you are trying to sneak up on this undersea hidden base, so maybe blaring Rod Stewart out might not be the way to go.
Not Rod Stewart, the Crow. Deeper down, deeper and down. That yes.
Very good. Very good. Right. So anyway, I presume also one of you will probably report into Dice. Again, the sub obviously has radio communication, so I guess it would be prudent for one of you to probably contact Dice and just let them know what's going on. Just you can say to them you've secured the submarine and that you're going to.
Are we paging them, or is somebody going to get off and go to the page phone?
I'll leave that up to you, Hyde, since you have the best relationship with Dice.
How are we going to do that? Are we going to send a telegram or jump off the?
No, the sub's got a radio. The sub's got a radio on it. So you would again certainly Hyde probably you know the frequency, so you can probably you can just set to the frequency and say this is Hyde calling Dice, Hyde, and you get a reply instantly from somebody at Dice, and again you just basically fill them in. Broadsword calling Danny Boy.
Danny Boy.
You just report in and say, look, we've secured the submarine without problem, and we're going to push on to investigate the base. And I guess you say that you'll send coordinates once you've located the base, you'll send coordinates. So just a quick interlude then. So for those of you who, we've talked about the Eagles briefly, the super team from the 1960s, who kind of faded a bit from memory. Again, some of you will have vague memories from childhood of maybe stories about them. And again, the Eagle's Nest was their kind of, is the base that they were meant to operate out of. But you don't really remember anything specific about it. I mean, I'm not even sure if any of you would have even clocked it was originally underwater. But the point is, again, that's what you're looking for, or that's what Overlord seems to have found. I think, and the concern from Dice with Overlord, of course, is that if he has access to the Eagle's Nest, then the Eagles, in various points in their career had, dealt with supervillains, and there could be technology in the base that could be, a threat, and there could be information that could be a threat. That's probably another concern. Although
there could be false cap files in there that need looking at.
Indeed. Because even though the base was hasn't been used for presumably 20 odd years, again it's a bit of a mystery. So hence the reason why he was keen to find it. So anyway, after a bit of manoeuvring, the submarine heads out, and eventually you head out into the open sea, and sure enough, it's all like every submarine movie you've ever seen. They kind of secure for the dive, and all that, and the submarine. They all go through the motions, and again, Captain Sonar's looking over their shoulder. Everything is being done correctly. There's no attempt at subterfuge, and the submarine dives without incident. I guess you may all feel slightly nervous as the submarine submerges, but it all proceeds without incident, and you soon have the familiar bing as the sonar sort of pinging away, and the captain is like, set course 270, make your depth 300 feet, whatever, and you chug on, and the submarine proceeds on, and for the next hour or so, everything proceeds without incident. Again, Captain Sonar keeps an eye on all the crew. The rest of you in your various locations keep an eye on everybody, and everything seems to be proceeding fine. And as you proceed, suddenly there is a kind of there is a alarm or a notification, and Captain Through turns to you. He turns to Hyde, because Hyde he seems to have kind of deferred to you as the de facto person in charge, purely because you were the first one on board. So he says, "Okay, I was expecting this. This will be a call from the base. It seems as if it's likely to be Overlord himself. We'll have to bluff this one out. And I suggest you and your men just keep out of sight of the visual pickup." And he indicates there's a camera above the receiver. Kevin, can I just check? Do you have the ability to shapeshift into other forms other than the dragon, or not?
So I thought we.
Kevin, is there anything you can't do?
Yeah.
I struggle with plastering. No.
Okay, so
No,
you've
I
got.
think the enhancement was the conjuring. Sorry. So no, I don't have.
Okay, no, that's fine.
I can
You've
just
got. Yeah,
it's
you've
just
got.
conjuring.
You can change into your dragon form, but okay. Right. So
Sure.
Captain Fruit says, "Listen, I can. Says I can. Let me. Let me handle this. And just keep out of sight." And you kind of pull out the way of the display.
I'll tell him to deal with this, Captain, and remember you are being watched.
Okay, so submarines proceeding and towards the base. And as I say, the communication indicator is going off. And so he answers the view screen, and on the view screen, I just have to say, Overlord cracks me up. He's got this terrible mustache.
That's fantastic.
What's that?
It's a fantastic mustache.
Well, yeah, it is, but not with that helmet, though. You know what I mean? Have a look in the mirror, mate. Is all I'm saying.
It's kind of got a Freddie Mercury meets Ultron kind of vibe.
He has, yeah. It's you can, yeah. This I mean, it's clearly a product of the '80s. Bless it. Anyhow, he so Captain Frew says, "Oh, this is He says, "Go ahead, Eagle's Nest. This is Submarine 1." And this guy's face appears on the screen, and he says, "Captain, I assume you have a suitable explanation for your delay. Have you succeeded in obtaining the package?" And it says, "Yes, sir. We have Protector on board. Python is interrogating him at the moment, sir. She ordered us to proceed at pace to the base. There was some delay in them retrieving him, but all has proceeded as planned." And he says, excellent, Captain, excellent. Tell Python I will see her immediately upon your arrival. Eagle's Nest out." And he cuts the channel. So, seems to have got away with it. Again, it seems as if Overlord, didn't question it too closely.
It's a trap.
It's a trap. It's a trap. We're back to Mon Calamari. They fit in well in submarines, don't they? Okay, so the submarine's approaching. So as the submarine gets closer, you're now approaching the base, and as you look out, you can look out through the viewports of the sub. And you can see what was once apparent, or the remains of what was once apparently an undersea base. It appears to be surrounded by floodlights and various other security devices, which certainly don't seem to be operating at the moment. There are 6 main areas to the base, which consist of basically domes which are connected by walkways. Captain Frew explains to you the areas of the base, and you can see them on the description. So central to the base, there's a submarine pen, which basically the submarine can dock in, and the water can be extracted so that, as I said, the submarine you can basically disembark. And then there are the 5 domes. So you have control dome is the central area. So Captain Frew explains to you that Overlord has broken into the central control dome, because all the base was protected with security features, and obviously some of the equipment they've brought has been to get them through into the various areas. So he's broken into the central control dome, which is connected directly to the submarine pen, but up to this point he hasn't been able to get into the research dome, which you can see at the top of the map there. And then the vehicle dome, which is at the top, seems to be, you can see that through the windows, it's been breached and flooded, so presumably that's uninhabitable. There's also residential dome, which is basically where the Eagles would have lived, presumably. And then the utility dome would have been where the base power supply and life support system. So at the moment, all the Overlord has managed to do is to get into the control dome, and he's basically desperate to try and get into the research dome, because he believes that this is where he thinks that whatever that the Eagles have stockpiled over the years is going to be in that dome. So that's what he's functioning his efforts on. And he explains to you that there are that obviously he has a number of shock troopers with him on the base. These are the soldiers that you've dealt with before. He's vague on numbers. He says there's probably at least half a dozen with Overlord at any one point. But other than that, he can't really tell you much more. Again, the base is there. It's looks quite impressive considering it was built in the 60s. But that some of the members of the Eagles also had technological skills. So they were like the Avengers of their day, basically.
I mean, we're in a submarine. This guy does not have another submarine to get out.
Correct, as far as you know. Yeah.
Torpedoes.
You could do that if you want.
How deep are we?
I mean, I'm going to say you're probably a few hundred feet. I mean, this is not like it's not the abyss. I mean, this is off the coast of the UK, so it's probably a few hundred feet down. There's nothing in the scenario to specify, but I'll go with that. I mean, it's up to you guys. Yeah, I mean, yes, you could. I guess yes, you could. You could certainly stand off and launch a couple of torpedoes at it. Yeah, certainly an option.
Ideas, guys. I mean, otherwise we're going to park the submarine and knock on the door.
No, he said basically you can get into the base because again the submarine can dock in the pen, and you can get access to the control dome, which is where, as far as you know, Overlord is. Because again, those areas have been open, so that's all fine. And again, submarines designed to fit in, or I say designed, it fits comfortably in the docking area.
So the likelihood of there being CCTV in the 80s,
yeah, very unlikely.
It's going to be grainy VHS. No, sorry, in the 60s.
Yeah, no, exactly. That's a good point. I mean, if you ask him, he can tell you he saw no evidence of any sort of cameras. Yeah, so I mean, we would call it CCTV.
Can't you make us invisible?
I'm just double checking, and I believe I can.
Yes, you can.
Magic grade 5. Yes, I can make everyone invisible, apart from the captain.
We don't want the captain to be invisible. He's going to walk over there and buzz us in, isn't he?
Yeah.
He's going to get on the old intercom and get them to open
Do we have any idea whether or not it's Viper, isn't it? The female Python. Beg your pardon. Do we know if the Overlord and Python know one another well, or is she a subcontractor and he's not met her? Like, can we pass someone off as her, or does he know her? Is she one of his henchmen?
So, if you ask the captain this, he says no. He says she seems to be the only one he trusts.
Right. Okay.
She is a mercenary. She's a well-known assassin. Again, given that you're all of you guys are kind of early in your certainly obviously Anorin and Phase Strike have their own kind of deal going on, but I guess certainly Captain Sonar and Hyde will probably have been briefed on her at some point. So she's quite a well-known assassin, but she is still a hired gun. She's not. But the point is, he trusts her because she's ruthless and efficient. Whereas,
I was just wondering if I could put a wig on and pass as her.
Well, maybe that Tash, the Tash couldn't possibly block his view, but I don't know. That's a possibility.
Well, we do have Frostgrave's weapon.
You do have Froststorm's weapon, yeah.
Froststorm, sorry.
Yeah, you do.
We've got the frost cannon. We can definitely icicle some.
You've certainly got that. And again,
yeah.
I guess again, it's as you say, it's unlikely you could bluff your way in as Python, but again, he can certainly get you into the base because again, the submarine will dock, and once you're in the base, you're in the base. Again,
can anyone
he's having trouble getting any further into the base. I don't think
anyone
so.
got good swimming skills?
I've got astral projection.
I think so.
Yeah, so that's a good point. So Phase Strike, Anorin does have astral projection, so he can sort of go into a trance.
We've got a couple of options. We can park up in a submarine pen, either go invisible or somehow get buzzed into the control dome.
Well, I've just been watching.
Biggles Dome is freak. We could maybe there's a way in through the Biggles Dome.
Jace, I just finished watching Andor and then Rogue One, so I'd rather we dressed up in their uniforms and walk in rather than going invisible.
Oh, you want us to wear? You want them? You basically want to get them naked and then.
Well, they don't have to get naked. I'm sure they've got their.
They might have branded underwear that we have to.
They're going to have their white vests and their.
I guarantee they'll have branded underwear. Yeah. If nothing else, Overlord is he's a brand freak. So, tell you those uniforms, they're all branded and color coded. So,
but I think we should all go in uniform.
That's a good idea. You could certainly do that.
I'm wearing a special suit. I mean, as long as their uniform fits over my suit.
Oh yeah, I've got my mask with my mohawk as well. I'm going to keep that, but I'm going to wear the uniform over the top.
Obviously, you're going to keep that.
We turn around to the captain. I apologise, Captain.
Strip.
But you're about to have to get naked. Wow.
He's like,
well, no, we need the captain to stay in uniform, but there's plenty of crew members.
Yeah. I mean, okay, that's fine. Yeah, let everyone else get naked. You go, why have you got the whole crew of 8 to get naked when there's only 3 of you? Well, don't ask. It's just a power.
We don't want anyone to feel left out.
That's right. We don't want anyone to feel awkward, so we'll just get them all to strip.
Well, we used to call him Captain Spanker, but obviously that name was taken. So
brilliant. Fine. So fine. They all get down to their they've bought long johns on. They're probably all wearing long johns because being on a submarine can be chilly. So they've got their branded Overlord long johns. It's getting hot in here. So we're going to assume you managed to make some effort at disguising yourselves. Obviously the Mohawk's a bit of a giveaway, but again, there's no CCTV. And he says, look, I'm initiating the docking sequence, and cue 1980 special effects. This sort of model submarine basically glides effortlessly into the submarine dome and submarine pen, and you can hear the doors close, and there's hissing and the sound of mechanics going off around as water is drained from the pen, and after a couple of minutes you can hear a clang, and there's a gangplank is automatically lowered down to the side of the sub. So you open the hatch cautiously. I suggest probably Captain Sonar does it because he probably looks the least what's the word I'm looking for, innocuous, because obviously we've got Faye Strike, who's a woman, and you haven't seen any women in Overlord's gang of thieves, and then you've got obviously, I guess Honorin also would look pretty nondescript just wearing the gear, but you open the hatch and actually there's nobody in the bay. It's not like there's docking crew. It's all automatic. So yeah, you're not observed as you disembark from the sub. You can sort of climb down the short ladder down the conning tower, and again, as I say, there is an automated gangplank that has come down. And as you look above, as you sort of get your bearings, and again, you can see, again, you're in this kind of docking area, and there's a hatch at the end of the chamber, which is open, and it clearly leads into the rest of the base. And above the hatch, you see a distinct logo is above the entrance to the base, and pretty much confirms that this is indeed the mythical Eagle's Nest. Kevin, can you remember what Eagle stands for? I can never remember.
Extra normal,
extra normal aggro, and yeah, I'm sure. I really should probably have researched that. And of course, now that I'm looking for it, I can't find the. I can't find it. Let me try and find what it says, because it would really help if you actually knew what Eagle stands for.
Executive for the Administration of Government Law Enforcement.
That'll do. that works for me. It's whatever you want it to be. That's what it is. But that's essentially this is, as I say, this is the mythical Eagle's Nest, clearly from the from that. And you notice very quickly that this logo is kind of everywhere, because again, superhero teams like their branding, right? So there's logos and badges everywhere. So again, so you're in the right place, basically. Not that there's that many secret undersea bases, you would assume, sitting off the coast, but okay, so you gather yourselves, and again, you disembark. Now, Captain Threw says, with respect, sir, to Hyde, he says, I would ask that you don't ask my men to take part in this. At least, we will remain here and keep the submarine operational and ready to evacuate if needed. But I don't want to put them in any more risk than they need to be.
Steve, can I retcon slightly?
Yeah.
So previously, when I radioed into DICE to tell them what was going on, I would have given them the rundown of this crew, and for this crew also to hear that I was, name dropping them and telling DICE all about them and where to find them and this and that. So even if they tried to run, they wouldn't get particularly far.
Yeah, absolutely fine.
Yeah,
I think that's totally reasonable. Yeah. So, and again, that there will be again. You assume. I think it's safe to assume that DICE are probably trying to mobilise some sort of surface vessels. Because again, we can assume they could have, if they haven't already tracked you, that you could maybe then say to them, well, send a transmission on this frequency to advise of the location of the base. And you'll assume that DICE will try and get surface ships at least. Again, they probably. I don't think DICE. I mean, what do you think, Kevin? DICE probably have got. They probably just use they probably draft a Royal Navy submarine if needed. But,
Yeah.
to be honest, I think the best. You've got a submarine here which can get you on and off the base. So they would probably have a warship or surface vessels, in the vicinity. And if need be, I guess the last resort is they could probably depth charge the base, but hopefully that won't be necessary. So
can Captain Sonar take the keys for the sub with him?
yeah, good idea.
We could just take the battery out.
Not again. Yeah, so fine. So
if we're worried about them running away, we could tie them up, or I could just freeze them into an ice block.
I don't think we're worried. We just want to take precautions, right?
All right. I'll take the.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's.
I'll take the rabbit foot key ring with me.
Keep saying the rabbit on it.
One of those fruity keyring numbers that gets left in a bowl on someone's table.
Don't know what parties you're going to.
Yeah, no, that's fine. I mean, again, I'll assure you that they're not planning to abandon you. But again, I can understand why you might not believe that. But they're again, I mean, you've shown respect to this guy and his people, and he says, I'm not going to abandon you. He says we'll keep the sub here. We'll be ready to go. But just don't ask my men to get involved in any sort of fight, because that up to this point they haven't been involved in anything like that. They've just been crewing the sub. So much as I'd love to play out a James Bond style assault on the base with Sten guns and everything, like Spy Who Loved Me. Obviously, you guys have got abilities, so you should be able to. I'm sure you can cope. It'll be fine.
Maybe next time, then, Captain.
Maybe next time, yeah. Right. So anyway, this area is, as I say, it's metal gangways around the edge of the bay, and there's a gangplank to the sub. And again, you notice there are, as you look more closely, there are some rusty crates and boxes dotted around. Again, it gives the air of this base hasn't been, nobody's been here for a long time. I mean, obviously there are people here now, but you definitely get the impression that this base has been abandoned for some time. And as you again, the door leading from the submarine pen heading towards what you know is the control dome is it's lit. Some of the light panels have gone out. So
Extra Association of Government Law Enforcers.
There we go. Thank you.
There you go.
So again, the corridor seems to be fairly, it's intact. but it is again, some of the lights have just presumably died over time, and obviously no one's had chance yet to repair them. But it's not been Overlord's priority. And as I said before, everywhere you look, you see the Eagle logo is on every sort of panel, and there's like fuse boxes in the wall. You also notice that it appears as if the base has basically been excavated into the rock, and so those domes are kind of the roof of each section, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So you have the rooms are bigger than the domes would suggest, because that you only see like the top half of it is the dome and the rest is excavated into the rock.
Okay.
And everything seems to be watertight, and again there's electrical cables bolted into the walls and everything else, and it all looks still functional but old. As you so what do you want to do? Do you want to proceed down the corridor?
Yes, let's go to the Thunderdome.
This looks
3
like
men and
a,
1 woman enter. I don't know how many you're gonna
that's a
do.
missed opportunity, isn't it? I'm not having a Thunderdome.
it looks like the Liberator. Is it the Liberator? What was it? Blake Seven's ship?
Yeah, Liberator. Yeah. You just surprised me with your Blake 7 reference there. You can also see that each of these sections obviously has watertight doors. These doors are big, but they're watertight doors. As I say, the sub-pen doors are open at the moment. They obviously open automatically when the submarine docks, but presumably, obviously, when the submarine leaves, of course, they will close, because the to some extent the submarine pen will flood to allow the submarine to exit.
Yeah.
But you can see at the far end of this corridor, and this corridor is quite long. It's like 70 meters long. This is a big base. You can see at the far end of in the distance at the far end of this tunnel, you can see again a matching set of doors, but they are sealed, and again presumably kept closed if the sub pen is in use, just in case of any breach. So this has all been very well thought out, and it all seems to be functional. So okay, so you proceed down the corridor, and as you look around cautiously, you don't notice that there are, as we mentioned, there are clearly no signs of any kind of surveillance equipment. There doesn't seem to be any cameras or anything, because again, this base was built in the early 1960s. Okay.
Are you guys all still there?
Yeah.
Yep.
No, I was just checking.
I'm back. Sorry about that. I just had to relocate downstairs, so rather than hear me mess about. Right, cool. So I'm back. So you proceed down the intervening corridor. As I say, you can see the watertight doors ahead of you. There is a stenciled note above the door which says "Control Dome," and then you can see that there are arrows. So the main logo says Control Dome, and again it has the Eagle logo above it. And then you can see that there is an arrow pointing to the left at the door, which says Residential Dome to the left, and it says Research Dome to the right. So as you approach the door, now, Kevin, so you've got, it's up to you how you want to, I mean, I guess you could use astral projection to scout ahead if you want to do so, because you can't see anything, you can't see through the door, so you don't know what is going on in the control dome.
No.
But it's up to you. You could do that. You can see that there's controls to open the door. So obviously, because these are watertight doors, then the door will have to, the outer door will have to open, then close, and then you go in, and then the inner door will open to let you into the control dome. But all of that means that obviously you're going to sort of be walking into something. You don't really know what you're going to be getting into, if that makes sense.
So can the airlocks take all of us, or do we have to go in?
Oh yeah, these are big. The airlock's big. Yeah, it's
Right.
this base was not built small. It's if anything, it's ostentatious. One could say it's. I say the corridors are wide and long. The airlock is can quite happily hold a number of you. You also assume because anything that's brought into the base obviously has to come through this route. So even if they're bringing in cargo and supplies, it all has to come through here. So again, I presume that again the base is built big enough so that they can have they can move stuff around easily. So there's no
Even it's
problem.
big enough for vehicles as well, because obviously the vehicle dome hasn't got an exit.
I don't know why. I don't know why they need vehicles down here, mate.
Well, I'd assume the vehicles
lazy.
probably means they probably got mini subs or something. You don't. Yeah, again, you don't know.
That's
Yes,
the
I mean they
old
may very well have.
design.
They've probably got a fork.
You
They've
have
probably
to
got
carry them all the way from
systems.
that dome back through a submarine plane.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's not the
it's-
best design, is it? Honestly, but
There's a tractor
No.
in there.
there's a tractor. There's a zeppelin.
Should have had that as something else, and the control dome going to a vehicle's, or the control dome being the vehicle's dome, and then the vehicle's dome is an anomaly given the design, because a residential dome should be where the utility dome is.
Yeah,
because you'd want that away from everything else. You'd probably want the utility. Anyway, it doesn't matter. I'm going to sit down
listen,
and
you can
I think you should write a strongly worded letter to Games Workshop and advise them to update the map.
I think I've actually had this conversation with Simon.
Yeah, I think
But-
so.
Anyway,
I'm sure we've probably had this conversation with Simon at some point. But I mean, basically, the vehicle dome, I guess, would hold, mini subs, and I mean, I'm not sure what. It's probably not likely to have planes or anything because, of course, you're underwater, so they're not much use to you there. But it's certainly got mini
all the way.
subs.
Yeah. So I'm going to sit down and astral project in to give
Okay.
everyone a heads up of what's in there.
Okay.
Quickly.
So you sort of sit cross-legged and go into your fluence, do whatever you have to do to do so. And okay, so you can then pass through the door. So you pass through the door. So as you enter the room, it's a large control room, which clearly was once the central core of the base. There are computer banks and scanners on most of the walls. And even there's 4 columns supporting the roof, and even these are covered with lights and switches, some of which are active, some of which, and obviously when you're in astral form, everything's a little bit hazy, right? I guess your view is, it's not, you're not seeing everything crystal clearly. I guess it's, a little bit like looking through a bit of a mist.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure how you interpret that, whether that's how you feel about it, but the point is, you even in that state, you can see that clearly not all of the equipment is functional. As I say, there are the computer banks are literally the good old fashioned things with tape spools on and all of that kind of thing, and some of those are sort of spinning around and chattering away. And there are several figures in the room. So standing over one of the computer banks, which seems to be fully functional, so it seems to be the only computer bank that's fully operational, is an imposing figure in futuristic armor. This is the gentleman that you've seen on the view screen or glimpsed on the view screen on the submarine. So this is clearly Overlord, complete with impressive mustache. And to his right stands a grotesque figure who appears to be a 2-meter high heap of what looks like a combination of mud and slime. He seems vaguely humanoid, but if any of you are familiar with Man Thing or Swamp Thing, that's the kind of vibe that you're getting. And you can see on the desk or on the top of the computer bank is a tube or a jar of some kind of clear material, and you can see that it contains a very small figure which looks like a man, so as described by the captain of the submarine. And scattered around the room are several of the jump-suited shock troopers that you've encountered before. One of them is holding a young woman who's standing with her arms folded and sort of pouting. One of them's clearly guarding her, and she seems to be berating this guy, the armored guy. I won't repeat the language, but she doesn't seem very happy. And the other shock troopers are kind of moving around the room with bits of equipment, and but they certainly don't seem to be in a defensive posture. So in other words, it seems as if your ruse to get into the base has succeeded to this point, because they're not. it's not like they're all standing with weapons drawn at the door or anything. They're kind of going about whatever they're doing. But again, and that Overlord seems to be focusing his attention on the direction of the research dome. So again, there's clearly a door to the right of the dome as you're looking at it, and that clearly leads to the other section of the base. And that seems to be where he's focusing his attention. And he's ignoring the tirade of abuse coming from this woman. He's just, focused on what he's doing. And he does turn to one of the troopers as you're watching, and he says, he says, as soon as our prisoner is here, bring him to me immediately. See what's keeping the submarine crew. They should be here by now.
What we could do, I want to come back and relay this information. I say what we could do is I could make you all invisible, and then we hit the fire alarm, and we tell the control dome that Protector has broken free. Please send help. And as everyone comes, we go in, and then we can separate whoever is sent in from us, reducing the amount of people that we need to fight in the control dome.
Can do it a go, yeah.
Yeah, sounds like a plan.
It's either that or methane fart.
Let's not overuse that gimmick. Although actually, again, that would be quite effective in close quarters. So let's not rule it out. Actually.
Yeah, I mean they're basically in a sealed room, aren't they?
Yeah. It's a good shout. It might be useful. Although again, these rooms are fairly big, so it's But I mean, yeah, you'll see in a minute because there's a map of the area. So
you can fetch sonic boom, can't you? Effectively. So maybe we do that, and we kind of all the grunts will go out, and possibly the walking cabbage patch kid, and then if we're in
is the control dome just a big giant concrete round dome with smooth dome walls?
Yeah, basically, as far as you know. But that's what is described to you by Anorin. Yeah, it's basically it's a big. I don't want to show you the map just yet. I don't want to spoil the surprise, but yeah, it's.
you think they don't want to get sonic blasted in there. It's going to echo, isn't it? It's going to just bounce around and ruin them.
Yeah, it's a good shout. The dome's pretty big, but again, it's as you say, certainly, it's not gonna hurt being in an enclosed space using your ultrasonic weapon. But maybe the diversion tactic's good as well, because again, as you say, it's because they know that Protector has been a problem because he's insane. So it's not beyond the realms of possibility that he breaks out. And again, that could certainly, as you say, split his people off a bit, because let's face it, he's not gonna deal with it himself, is he? He's gonna send his underlings to deal with it.
Because it's a superhero that has broken free. The Cabbage Patch Kid might be sent out.
Maybe. Again, you just saw him shambling about. You don't quite know what his capabilities are or what you don't recognize him.
Haven't we seen Mike? Didn't you explain that there was a tiny little figurine dude in there?
Yeah, so he's in the glass jar, which is on the computer console.
So he's not having a fun time.
I think it's fair to say you might have some knowledge of him. So let me tell you about him. So you assume that he is the superhero called Micron, and Micron is essentially he is the. I guess he's, as Kevin said earlier, he's like the last surviving member of the Eagles. He was a late member of the Eagles, so he was probably the last to join. So he was active in the 1960s. Basically, he's a shrinking superhero, so he can shrink and grow. And he was known as being a bit of a modern day Robin Hood, kind of fighting for the rights of poor people. And he had a slightly shady background where it was thought that he'd actually stolen from some corporations. He as I say, Robin Hood figure. But regardless, he was a member of the Eagles. But obviously he's being contained in this container. So, and as you suspect, he's probably been brought here because of his knowledge of the Eagles' nest. But you don't know what, if any, information he's passed on to Overlord, and also you don't know who the woman is who's being held by the lackey. She doesn't seem to be super powered. She seems to be like a normal.
The captain didn't tell us anything apart from the fact that she was brought there, right?
Yeah, he didn't know anything about her. He said just there was this girl and a. I mean, she's younger. She's certainly not. She's certainly, she's not the same age as the other guy. And again, she doesn't seem to have any abilities. He just said that she was brought with the guy in the glass dome.
We didn't get her name from Postron or Python.
We didn't ask them, but again, I don't think they would. I don't think they knew anything about. There's nothing to indicate they knew anything about her because again, they're just hired help, aren't they? Yeah. So we don't know much about her, but again, there's nothing so far that to give any suggestion that she's got any sort of abilities. Why she's here, unclear. Put it that way.
Okay.
But again, so you know that you've got. And also, just to clarify as well. So Kevin's looks around, and there are basically 8. He better count. There's 8 shock troopers in the dome. So you've got Overlord, you've got Muck Guy, you've got 8 troopers, and then you've got the woman and the guy in the jar, basically. So that's everybody that you could see in the dome.
I mean, I feel like the guy in the jar wants to get out of the jar. I mean, he can't be against her.
Yeah, I can't imagine he's too happy being stuck in there.
On our side. That will even up the odds.
Does he go by Mike or Ron?
They're twins.
Mike. That's like Sparks, isn't it? That's Russell and Ron. No, it's Mike Ron.
Yeah.
So I like your idea, Kevin, where we ruse a few of them out. How do we do it with the airlock? Oh, we're already in the airlock, so they know we're coming through.
Unclear whether they know, but again, they'll know. The only thing they will know for sure is they'll clearly know that the submarine is docked because obviously they'll have seen that the dome was the submarine pen was drained.
Okay.
So they'll know that all they know so far. But again, bearing in mind, this is 1960s technology, so they don't know. That it's unlikely that they would know that you're in the airlock until you open the airlock.
That's true. Did it make much of a noise then when we?
I mean, it made some noise, but don't forget you've got a door on both sides. So again, whether or not, and then certainly from Kevin's observation, they didn't seem to react.
Yeah.
They weren't like acting as if they knew you were in there. They were going about their business, and he was fiddling with the computer console, and she was ranting. The girl was ranting at him, and none of them seemed to have been under the impression that there's anybody in the airlock. So I think certainly. Moment you've still got an element of surprise. So
I'm happy to go with Kevin's plan A, and if that obviously fails, we've always got plan B, which is the dragon.
Plan B. Cool. Okay, so how do you want to implement this, Kevin? So do you want to find a? I mean, there certainly is. Obviously, there is fire. There are fire detectors because obviously fire in an underwater base is a very bad bit of news. I guess the other thing you could do is you could also just simply go back to the submarine and get them to call the control room and say that he's escaped. Or you could set off the fire alarm and sort of bang on the door and say, be banging on the door and sort of say, help, he's escaped. It depends how you want to play it, really.
How much so we can't really trust the crew once we've left them to do anything other than what we've asked them. We can ask them, go say this as we're going off. We can't really trust them they are going to do that. So it might be worth sending the submarine crew away. No, No. Would you just activate the fire alarms and get in the airlock?
Yep, you do that. So there's a yeah. I mean, there'll be a there'll be like a break glass and in case of fire.
Steve,
Yep.
can we assume that there's almost like a tannoy system between these doors, so that
Certainly.
if you're in the airlock, you can talk to people on the other side?
Yeah, I'm sure. If you look around,
Yeah.
sure enough, there certainly is a like a squawk box, like a microphone. There's like a on the wall. There's and it's old tech. It's got like a big clunky button.
Yeah.
But you can see that there are selector buttons underneath the voice grid, which give you the different domes. So there's the control dome, residential, and there's literally like 5 big chunky buttons, and you presume if you push them, it will contact you to the dome. So yeah, you can certainly do that.
Because we could announce on there, couldn't we?
Yeah, if you kind of say, Jesus Christ, protect us 3, and if sonar does a small kind of sonic blast to make a noise, and then, run into the
Cool. I mean, the good thing is that they'll just have to react to that, because again, they've got no way of seeing into the tunnel to see what's going on. So
Yeah.
I think any disruption you can cause will be enough to get them to investigate at the very least.
Mhm.
Cool. So are you going to set off the fire alarm, or are you just going to use the tannoy to just call through? Or do you want to do both?
Fire alarm sends, it has got noise and makes a bit more impact, isn't it?
Yeah.
Cool.
Panic
Okay, so
sells it.
if one of you wants to, so you as I say, there's no we also there's a break glass. There's literally like there'll be like a handle that you pull that it says in case of fire, and obviously there's fire extinguishers and stuff around. So yeah, you can just pull that, and sure enough, as soon as you pull that, there's like a starts going off, and it's quite loud in the corridor as well. It's quite because again, the corridor's big and echoey. And yeah, you can hear the fire. The fire alarm goes off immediately, and you can only imagine the kind of excitement in the control dome when this goes off. And one of you wants to go to the intercom and call through.
Are we invisible, Kev?
Yeah. Yes.
You knock off your magic points, Kevin, for me.
Yep.
Cool. So, okay, so you turn invisible, and one of you just goes to it doesn't matter who goes to the thing and sort of says, "Oh my God, protect us free! Send help! Send help!"
Yeah.
And sure enough, about literally a minute later, you hear the inner door, the control dome door, starts to open. So I'm going to move over to the next map. Just bear with me. Okay, so I'm going to just drag you guys over onto the map. So now, obviously, so here's the corridor, and here's the airlock section. And as you can see, the dome is obviously surrounded by water or rock. And you've obviously got, so here's Overlord. This is Micron in his little, he's not very little there, obviously, he's in his tube. And then you've got shock troopers, and there's the woman here being held by the shock troopers. And this guy here, you haven't seen him yet, obviously, but he's on the map. But so
Steve, if you're moving things around on the screen, I can't see. I don't know whether anyone else can or not.
Sorry, say that again.
Can anyone else
We can't see what you're pointing at.
Yeah.
So this is
sorry, hang on a minute.
Overlord.
That's Mr. Mustache.
That's Overlord. That's Micron.
That's Micron. This is obviously the sludge guy.
Yeah.
This is the woman.
Yeah.
We don't know who this guy is.
No.
Okay.
Warrior.
And then the rest, the black suit.
Shock troopers, as they are described. Right. So I'm just going to drag over your counters. I'll drop them over here. The one there.
That woman is looking incredibly suspicious.
Bloody hell, Captain Sonar's just cloned himself.
Oh, I didn't know you could do that.
We might need the
He
help.
didn't either.
My twins come along. His name's Captain Radar.
And then you've got Captain Microwave as your cousin. Okay, hold on. And yeah, the counters. I'm not quite sure the counter size on that one's a bit messed up, but that doesn't really matter.
Sorry, I mean she's got reach.
Yeah. So you're all in. You're all in here, and again, you are invisible. Okay. So sure enough, the doors begin to open, and
one guy goes.
Stay with her. No, these guys. It's like four of them. Well, these three immediately kind of go rushing to the door. So the door opens. So you're faced with these three. Now they obviously can't see you, so they're going to rush in. They're going to basically run through here. So, so what we're going to do is we're going to say again.
Are these like white things doors? So there's loads of different rooms here, right? Or is it just one?
There's all different sections. Yeah. So this is the main control room. This is and these are like there's a corridor here. This is like a dorm room, I guess. These are other rooms outside on the outside of the thing, but this is the main control room. So yeah, those white bits there are doors. So what I'm going to do is let's get
you. Go in the cupboard. No, just kidding.
Yeah, storage unit, storage cupboard, or whatever. There's probably like aqua lungs and stuff in some of them as well. Because bearing in mind you're in an underwater base, so they probably would make sure that there's some sort of provision for that.
One in my pocket.
Yeah, you could do that. Obviously, the tanks might be a bit more awkward, but
okay. Yeah.
Right. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll for initiative here. So I need one of you to, if you can roll for me 1d10. Anyone roll 1d10 for me? We'll go with 4, shall we?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So the bad guys get 2 frames because they won the initiative, so they get 2 frames. Guy here going to use basically they're going to use their frames to move because essentially they're not expecting. They obviously can't see you. They're not expecting you. So those guys simply are going to move, and I'll get them to. As I say, they're not going to attack because they'll have 2 frames at the end. They're just simply rushing out. And it's a bit of a waste for them to have that because the rest of these guys aren't really going to do anything because he's still here. Overlord has dispatched his minions and he's still fiddling about with this. Mark Monster is shuffling about, looking uncomfortable. So these guys are all basically going to hold their frames for now because there's nothing else for them obviously to do. So we'll go over to you guys. So you're going to get all of your actions, your 4 frames that you can use. So we go in order of dexterity. So Captain Sonar gets the first opportunity to act. So what would you like to do?
So what are we doing here? Because I thought we were trying to get them to come out. So
I mean, you can step aside, and they will. You can step aside because again, this chamber is. I mean, obviously the counters are a bit clustered, but this chamber is pretty big. So if you want, you could simply let them rush out and let them be on their way. It's up to you, really, or you can attack them. It's really up to you. Because their plan is they're simply moving because they've been told to go and see what's going on. So they're kind of run out of the.
Well, so I'm going with my plan. With the plan, then I'm going to just let them saunter on through.
Fine. So they've got 2 frames. So they will simply cycle through. They simply rush off down the corridor. So they're not quite sure. They're just literally been told to go and investigate. So they're investigating. They're running down the corridor. Fire alarms are going off. But they've just run past you, so fine.
Who's the fastest?
It goes in order of Captain Sonar goes first.
The fastest in terms of running.
Hyde is fastest.
I've got super speed.
Yeah, I mean Hyde is clearly the fastest because he's got super speed.
To even the odds, if you run over and knock over the jar with micronine.
That was going to be my intention. Yeah.
Because then that gives us an extra superhero versus.
Are you going to run over and knock him over and go, "I'm Luke Skywalker. I'm here to rescue you"?
Yeah. I am your father.
Yeah, that's fine. So although, like I say, technically Captain Sonar acts first. However, because I'm happy to let if you want to let Hyde go because he's got super speed. I am more than happy to go with that.
Well, if we're going to step in and see how many leave.
So currently 3 of them have gone. They're the 3 obvious. So these guys.
Okay.
So if you look at these guys here, are obviously this one's still holding on to this woman. These other guys are off doing other duties around the place, and this guy's like, just got these guys. This guy's like obviously a sentry, so he's probably going to follow. But he's over here at the moment, and these other guys you haven't seen them yet. They're in other rooms doing other duties. So
I'm happy to let Hyde go first and have a crack at it.
Releasing Micron is obviously a priority. Also, this woman she's under she's captive, right?
She's being held firmly on the arm by one of the guards.
Yeah, maybe taking out this guy should be someone else's priority.
Or I'll go and rescue the damsel in distress.
And don't forget, you're invisible. So actually, that's
Oh, am I? Well, then
no
do we need?
Yeah, you're because he casts invisibility on you, so you're all invisible at the moment until Kevin lifts his spell.
So should we not if we're all invisible, we can't see each other though, right?
You can't do what, sorry?
Can we see each other? How does the illusion spell work? Can we see each other, but no one else can see us?
Yeah.
Well, we can see each other.
Affirmative. Then I
would assume Kevin would have an idea of our whereabouts, right? But other than that, we wouldn't.
Kevin would know because he can detect.
So I think
magic. The rest of you won't know where you are.
Yeah.
And then do it. You shouldn't just run. If we're invisible, you shouldn't just run in there and smash the glass jar. We should all get in to where we want to be.
Yes. Yeah.
So I'm going to go over to. I'm going over to henchman number 1 with over here.
Yeah.
That's where I'm going to go. Obviously, I can't get there in one turn, but
No, you can. Yeah, you can move over there because each of these squares is. So you've got 4 frames to act. Each of these squares is 2 meters. So that's what 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What's that? 14 meters. I mean, you can basically cover that distance into your 2 frames. That you can do that. Hyde obviously can get anywhere pretty much on the map because he's got super speed, so that's easily for him to do. And then what about the other 2 here? Do you want to take up position somewhere?
We could go old school, and one of us go and run behind Overlord and kneel down, and the other person go in front of him. And when we decloak, we just simply push him over.
Let's go for it.
I mean,
who's getting on their knees?
I will kneel down.
Okay.
I think that's appropriate.
Yeah.
When we decloak, he might even just stumble back out of shock. Ooh!
Yeah.
He'd be like, "Who's got this?"
You could stand, because you could stand in front of him and decloak and go, "You're under arrest," and he'll what the, and then push him.
Okay, have you all moved to where you want to be roughly? Yeah, so you're behind. So Anorin's behind.
Yeah, kneeling down.
Yeah, okay. And Face Strike, you're in front of him. You're going to go in front.
We haven't got a team name, have we? So we can't go Avengers Decloak.
I thought we had a team name. You're going to make me look at my notes. We've got a team name. We came up with it.
I can't remember. Was there a team name? I'm sure there was a team name. Thunderbolts Decloak or something like that.
Just we're not called the Thunderbolts.
No, not Thunderbolts.
Suicide Squad. No,
We'll come back to it.
Justice Gang. No, that one's taken.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So you've all kind of moved. So you've basically all used 2 frames to move to where you want to go. Again, with Kerrin, you've probably got an extra frame because super speed. You can obviously cover more distance. So.
Okay.
I think you've got. I'm going to give you 3 frames of action left. The rest of you have used up 2 frames to get to where you are. So you've basically all of you have got 2 frames or an action, which is enough for you to make an attack. So hand-to-hand attacks, just to remind you, are 1 take a frame. So you could potentially do 2 hand-to-hand attacks in what's left to you. And usually most superpowers will take an action to use. So if you're going to shoot an energy bolt or something, that takes an action, which is 2 frames. So we'll go around the room in terms of who's got the highest dexterity. So Captain Sonar, you are first up. Now you can either, if you want to, do you want to punch him? Yeah, that's fine. You can punch him. So,
with my augmented hand.
oh yeah, your yeah.
Don't it just really
your
suck
snacky
my
hand.
straight up?
So you've got your fist.
Freeze the muck
fist-
being.
Do you
Fist
say
amplifier.
go sonar hands?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Please, can you say that? Okay, so you've got your fist amplifier, which gives you a weapon class of 4. The dudes have got a defense class of 10. So you obviously have surprise as well.
So why aren't you called Captain Fister? Oh, I understand.
Right, so you've got to roll a basically you've got to roll a 2 or better, because you get a +2 because the target is unaware of the attack as well. So yeah, you just need to roll a 2 or better on a D20. Yeah.
Oh,
Jamming. Okay, so you belt him, and to be honest, as we've established with Golden Heroes, any attack on a mook / extra with a super-powered attack is an automatic knockdown. So because you've hit him with a super-powered attack rather than a normal hand-to-hand attack, he is out. So he drops to the ground, totally unconscious. And obviously, several things happen at this point. So the woman here, so she's obviously this guy. Like I say, so he drops to the ground, and she looks around, doesn't understand what is happening other than the fact that this guy has just suddenly collapsed. And she runs at full speed towards the glass jar, but she's not going to be able to quite make it, because she only has 2 frames, so she's not going to quite make it. And in fact, she'll run into the back of Hyde because you're invisible and you're in that position. So she sort of bounce off you basically, and you probably don't even feel it. Because like I say, she's running at full pelt for this guy in the test tube, and she literally runs into you and kind of goes ow and sort of bangs off you. So, and Captain Sona's taken out his target. So the next one to act is going to be Phase Strike. So you are next to go.
Yep.
So what are you going to try and do?
I will. Can I drop my invisibility?
Yeah.
Say again. Yeah.
Can I drop my invisibility?
Kevin can just dispel it. No problem.
This is part of the plan.
It is.
Okay. All right. So you appear in front of Overlord, and he sort of turns round, or he sort of catches the motion out of his corner of his eye, and he sort of says, "What the?" Gets a couple of words out. I'll give you then the opportunity to do what you're going to do.
I'm shoving backwards.
Okay, so you try and push him. So you need to make a, I guess it'll just be, we'll call it a hand-to-hand attack, because you're just literally shoving him. So your hand-to-hand attack, I'm guessing, is going to be a weapon class 2, and he has got a defense class of 2. So that's 2. So you're going to need to roll an 11 or better.
Oh God.
To hit him.
Right.
Okie dokie. Right, here we go.
No pressure.
Oh,
Okay, so you give him a solid shove. Unfortunately, his suit of armor has got super strength built into it, and he is actually quite strong. So he kind of stands there as you sort of shove him, and you can hear sort of servos on his suit kind of whine, and he sort of looks at you dismissively, and he's going to give you he's going to hit you because he's got all of his action to take. So he doesn't try and dodge. He's just going to try and make an attack on you because you've appeared in front of him, tried to shove him, and so I'm going to just have a little look at his. He's got hand-to-hand of
It's gonna hurt.
weapon class 2, and you've got a DC of... Oh, excuse me a second. Blinking dog is acting up, so I'm just going to let her out. Luckily, I'm right here. So you're going to have to just hold that thought for a minute.
I'm not saying it was a brilliant plan.
It was a plan, you know.
He
It's
says
a
on his
plan,
hands and knees.
Oh, dog
Since
barking in the background.
I'm kneeling down, so what? Why did I agree to kneel down?
We need Plan B, the dragon.
You're still invisible. You can just crawl away.
Yeah, that's true. Invisible. Crawl under the table.
Everyone's invisible apart from you. You're the only one running around.
Could you just bite his ankles or something while you're down there?
By his ankles, yeah.
Oh, I
Yeah.
could Star Wars' ankles.
Okay, so he has got a weapon class 2. You've got a defense class of 6. So he needs to roll 11 or better to hit you. So bear with. Okay, so he connects, and this is probably going to hurt a bit. So he is going to do 2d6 hits to coma. So that's 7 hits to coma, plus, and then he's going to do, he does 1d6 minus 6 hits to kill. So basically, he doesn't do any hits to kill damage. But he's also going to do another, he gets a 13 because he has a super strength bonus. So that's going to be 20 points of hits to coma damage to you. I'll make a note of that. You're fine. I think you've got 88 hits to coma, haven't you?
75.
Yeah. So, you're right, 75. Now your pushback.
Stag 14 and stun 7. Those. Does that mean that I'm staggering?
So what that means is if your hits to coma go down to 14, then you get staggered, and if your hits to coma go down to 7, then you are stunned. But no, you're fine at the moment. Also, there's this number here called the pushback threshold. What that means is if he does damage over that is enough to knock you back. Now, as you can see, he did 20, so he hasn't exceeded that. So he gives you a kind of clout with this arm. Now, again, it certainly you've felt that and it hurt, and you get the sense you're probably lucky that he probably didn't put his full strength into it. But certainly the plan of probably pushing him over Kevin's probably not going to work, because he's if he plants his feet, he's strong enough to. I think his pushback threshold is something much higher. Can't see it, but it's probably going to be, I think, 25 or 30, which would mean you'd need to do minimum of like 25 damage to him in one hit to knock him back. So, unfortunately, he's probably just too strong for that tactic to work. So anyhow, but the point is, you took the hit, and he's certainly confused by the fact you just appeared in front of him. Right, so let's move on to the next one to act is Hyde. So Hyde, you are standing next to the guy in the tube. So what would you like to do?
Is there a cork to pop, or is it a glass sort of situation?
It's up. It can be whatever you want. You can have a screw top, or you can have a screw top. you certainly don't.
Like, I like the theatrics of throwing the vial on the floor, but I obviously don't want to hurt the guy.
No, you can just uncork. I mean, there's a stopper. I guess you can just uncork it. And you sort of pull the top out, and sure enough, he kind of clambers out of the bottle, and sure enough, he kind of expands up to his normal size. He's like a 6-foot guy. So this guy pops out of. He climbs out of the bottle enough so that he can expand to his full size, and he looks at you and he says, "Thanks, mate. I owe you one." And he's going to join the fight. So,
with the rest of my action, if I can.
Yep.
The woman who ran into the back of me, if she fell onto her ass, I'll sort of help her up off the floor to show that we're on the same side. Right.
So you help her up, and she sort of says, "Who the heck are you? Where did you? Because have you turned visible, by the way? I forgot."
I will do. I think so. It helps the narrative.
Right. So she says, "Who the hell are you, and where did you come from?" And then, before you have a chance to answer, she runs over towards this guy, and she says, "Jack, are you okay?" And he says, "Jenny, get out of here. It's too dangerous for you here." And he sort of puts an protective arm across her, and she says, "Like hell." And we'll move on to next to act. Okay, so next to act is gonna be actually Micron. He's next on the list. So he sort of you see that he runs towards Overlord, and he jumps, and what he does is he shrinks down to minuscule size again, and he then pushes off from the ground, and as he does so, he then grows as he goes ploughing into Overlord, and he basically bounces off him. So he kind of jumps into him with what seems to be all of his strength. He lands a good hit on Overlord, but then Overlord is going to use up his remaining frame or his 2 frames. He basically is grappling with Micron, and he's clearly much stronger. But Micron is obviously enraged by the fact that he's been kept incarcerated, and he's kind of struggling with this guy. But clearly, he's not going to be able to overpower him. And so, for the end of this round, basically, those two are kind of struggling together. And meanwhile, you see Hyde. You see the woman who he called Jenny. Mm-hmm. She seems to be frantically looking around for a weapon of some kind. Like she's looking around on all the surfaces, trying to find something she can, hit somebody with, I guess.
Okay.
Cool. All right. So, is there anything? I think that's all of your actions used up. So, next up we have Overlord. So, what Overlord does, he's, as I say, grappling with Micron. He's used up his remaining. Actions to grapple, so he's kind of kept out of action. These guys have dashed off. Now you presume they're going to head for the submarine pen, but we'll say it'll be a couple of rounds before they kind of realise maybe nothing's going on there and come back. But the doors here are closed, obviously. This guy, he is going to let's see, what's he going to do? He is going to basically bring up his weapon, and he's going to, I guess, he's probably going to shoot at Face Strike because you're the obvious target because you're there. He doesn't want to shoot at Anorin. Anorin, are you still invisible, by the way?
Yes.
You're still invisible. So, okay, so he can't see you. He's not going to shoot. He's going to go for you because you're simply the nearest target. So he has got a. Let's have a look. Weapon class 0 is the. Weapon class 0 is what he has got to work with. Your defense class, I think we said, was 6, didn't we? Phase strike, is that right? Yeah, it's DC 6. Weapon class 0. He's got to roll a 12 or better to hit you with his. He's got like a rifle.
Yeah.
Fine. He misses you. He shoots at you, but the shot goes wide, and it hits. It actually hits a computer console over here. Narrowly missing Captain's sonar, but again, you in the sort of heat of things, you probably don't realise. But he shoots, and the shot ploughs into there. Now, it is 10 o'clock.
The Rancor pen.
What was that?
Opens the door to the Rancor pen.
Well, it's 10 o'clock, guys. So I think we'll probably leave it there for this week. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Unless, do you want to carry on for a few minutes, or is anyone desperate to rush off? Do you want to give another few minutes, or shall we?
I can think about. So whenever you want to end the scene or whatever, Steve.
Okay, we'll give it another few minutes. We'll go for another round just to see what that does for us. Okay, so he's done his action. He's had a shot, and finally, this guy.
I didn't get to go though, did I?
Oh no, sorry, you didn't. No, go for it. Sorry, yeah, you're right. That was my bad. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm going to wait and go last.
Okay, so you're going to hold your action. That's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, so this guy, who he is, what's he going to do? Okay, he's going to shamble. He's going to sort of shamble forward. He's going to move. He's going to head for Hyde because Hyde seems to be the biggest. You're the biggest opponent you're the biggest thing in the room.
Yeah.
So he comes for you. He is going to. He's just going to try and hit you because he's not very subtle. This dude. So your defense class is 6. So he's got to roll a 10 or better to have a chance at hitting you. So let's see what he can do. No, he misses you. So he's seems to be like a lumbering beast. So he kind of comes for you, but you easily avoid his grasp. But looking at him, he looks pretty strong. So as I say, he comes for you, but you manage to avoid him. As I say, this guy's gone. Everybody else on our side has gone. I'm going to say that these guys are probably going to come rushing out because of the commotion. They can obviously hear. I don't know why he's going that way. There's no way out there. Oh, that's interesting. They're going to have to go through there. Yeah, okay. So these guys are basically both heading up here. These guys, I'm going to say, don't know anything at the moment because they're in separate rooms completely. And Overlord hasn't had a chance to send out any kind of general, call for help. Cool. Okay, so that's the end of that round. So let's just have one more.
I'm going to go now.
Your last go.
So I'm gonna conjure the dragon, and then clap my jaws around Overlord.
Okay, fine. So
and fire a flame strike into his head.
Okay, you're going to summon the dragon.
Unleash
Fine.
the dragon.
Unleashed. So basically, yeah, you kind of go through, do your thing, and you take on the form of the dragon. Now you have got energy strike is weapon class 3. Now I'm going to say he's DC. We said what did he say? He was DC. Where the hell is his DC? He is DC 2. So you're weapon class 3 versus DC 2. So you've got to have a 10 or better. You're going to get a +2 because he's not. As weird as it sounds, he's not aware of you because you're behind him and we're invisible.
Well, one of the things I want to do is try and get my mouth over his head so that I control I don't just blast energy in an underwater containment tube. I want to kind of control it over his head. But even so, what have I got? 10 or more?
Yeah, 10. Well, you're gonna get 10 or more. So you made it. So you're going to try. You're grappling him basically, is what you're doing. Is that right?
Fight and fire. Well, I'm going to do the energy strike, but I just want to kind of control it with my mouth as close to him as possible, so it doesn't go and destroy the dome. But
okay, so you've used you've used an action to shapeshift. That's what that takes, and then it's going to be an action to do the energy strike. So your energy strike is, I believe, DC is weapon class 3. I'm going to weapon class 3. We said he's DC 2. So weapon class 3 versus DC 2. So that's going to be a 10 or better. Now, bear in mind, there's also going to be a modifier here. I'm going to make it. I'm going to reduce. It's going to take you. It's a +2 difficulty or a -2 to your roll because you're trying to target precisely, right? You said you want to make sure you hit him.
Yeah, because I don't want to kill anyone else because of the area. But yeah,
right. So you're going to need you're going to need to roll 12 or better to target the attack specifically on him. Perfect. So you hit him with that. Yep. Your energy strike does a
10d6.
You could go up to 10d6. So it's up to you how much you want to spend.
10d6, full 10d6. So
hit him with
ready? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's shit. 12, 13, 14, 15, 19, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, 30, 31, 32 points of damage.
Yeah.
32 points of damage.
Yeah, okay, 32 points of damage. Right, so he has got he's got armor, grade 3. He has got damage dividers of 5. So, hold on. Doesn't energy strike ignore
it does.
Damage dividers?
It does.
It does, doesn't it? Hold on a moment.
Yep.
Pretty
sure that is the case.
Oh, no, it reduces damage dividers by -2. So he's got
So
damage
still-
divided with 3. So he's still taking 10 points of hits to coma.
Yeah.
So are you putting it all into hits to coma or hits to kill? Sorry, I didn't ask you. Because remember, you can choose what you apply it to.
I don't know. What do you think? Hits to kill or hits to coma? No,
Coma.
coma.
I guess you want to knock him out. Yeah, you want to knock him out, don't you? So
Yeah.
okay. So you've taken. Okay, that's a pretty impressive hit though. You've put it into hits to coma, and he is then down to. Bear with. Okay, we said 10, didn't we, after the dividers? Okay, perfect. Right, so he didn't like that at all. In fact, you've scorched his nice, pretty-looking armor. There's big black scorch marks all over it. Right, so and into the next round. So can somebody give me a D10 roll for your side for initiative, and I will do the same for me. Oh, God, I won again. Brilliant. I get I think I get 1 frame because the difference is 2, so I think I get 1 frame of yeah, I do. Okay, so basically, let's see. So these guys move on through into the room. That takes them there. That takes them 2 frames because they've had to open the door and come through. So that unfortunately they cannot act. Or unfortunately for them, they cannot act this round because they've had to use their frames to get into the room. This guy is going to take a shot at Anoran because now that Anoran has made himself, and there's a freaking great dragon sitting there, he's going to take a shot at you. So he has got a weapon class 0, which is, and your defense class is, I think, unchanged. It's the same, isn't it? Even if you're, I don't think there's any modifiers to that.
No, 4.
Oh, you're right. 4.
4.
Yeah, because it's in dragon form, isn't it?
My damage modifier. Oh, that's strength. No, forget that.
Yeah, that's strength. Yeah, so weapon class. Yeah, okay, weapon class 3. Yeah, okay. So, so his weapon class 0 versus DC 4. God, he's got to get 13 or better. Chances of that are pretty remote. Yeah. So again, he shoots, and again, idiot manages to shoot into a console rather than to actually hit his target. This, as he's done that, you hear the ominous sound of kind of groaning of metal, and so you're not quite sure what's going on, but you can hear kind of. It almost sounds like, as if the dome is buckling, although you can't quite tell where this, because obviously you're all occupied. But as he shot this console and he shot the other console, so it almost sounds like there's machinery working somewhere in the distance. Okay, so he's acted. So I think next we will have Overlord. I guess is going to try and break free. So you're not grappling him, you are grappling him, aren't you?
Yeah.
So you're hanging on to him. So he is going to try and break free. So let's have a look. I think he is going to. So what is your strength in dragon form?
25.
Yeah, okay. So he's actually slightly stronger than you. So I'm going to get him to try and turn the. He's going to try and turn the grab onto you. Basically, he's going to try and grab you. He's going to try and twist out of your grip and grab you back. Even though you are a dragon, but he's got more to get hold of, I guess. So he has got a weapon class of 2 versus a DC of 4. Actually, it's DC 6 with a grab. So that means he has got to roll he's got to roll a 10 or better. Right. Oh, critical. Oh, lovely. What's gonna happen there then? Okay. So he basically uses his superior strength, because again his armor's got more strength than you have, only just barely. So he basically is kind of struggles out of you've got a grip on him, he struggles and gets a grip on you. Now normally that critical hit says that it would hit a nerve center, but because he's not actually attacking you, he's just trying to get a grasp on you. So I'm going to just say that he manages to turn your grab into a grab. So you were grabbing him. He's now managed to grab you instead. And he has got, what has he got built into his armor? He's got some nasty stuff built into his armor. Blah 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 blah. Okay, he's going to try and hit you with a stun blast, because his gauntlets have got stunning ability built in, so they're like a stunner.
My probability manipulation is unconscious, so I'm going to be lucky that he hasn't got a charge ready to go.
Yeah,
so
perfect.
there's a 39% chance that he hasn't got a charge ready to go, so nothing will happen.
Right, do you want to roll that for me then? So D100, isn't it? Yeah.
7.
Oh no, so you rolled over it.
Over, yeah, 6, 7, yeah.
Okay, so he's going to hit you with his stunner, and it is basically he can't miss you because he's grappling, he's holding on to you. This is built into his gauntlets. So he's going to do 1, 2, 3. So that's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. He gets plus 1d6, 10. So that is 16. Now you've got damage dividers, I believe, in dragon form. Have you? Yeah, you've got damage dividers of 2. So okay, so you take 8 points of hits to coma.
So
which
hits
is again
coma. Oh yeah,
hits
2.
Coma. So you've got a hits to coma of 50, 55 rather, and you take So you take that easily. So you feel the charge, but it's not enough for him to injure you. So you're basically still struggling together at this point. Okay, so next go is going to be yeah, he can do that. So all the rest of them can do. So again, these guys had done theirs. Right, so it's over to you guys because they've had their frames now. So it's over to you lot. So Captain Sonar, you get to act first.
I want to run up to these 2 guys here.
Yep.
And give it the old 1-2 punch.
Perfect. So you can make 2 attacks because you've got your because you have all your frames to use. So you've got weapon class 4 versus DC. I think we said they were DC 10, weren't they? Yeah. So you've got to basically roll 4 or better to hit them.
So I just roll 2 die.
Yeah, just do it because again, you can easily reach both of them and attack both of them. So as long as perfect. Right, they're out. They're gone. You knock them out. 1 punch. Again, superpowered attacks will render all these NPCs unconscious with 1 hit. Perfect. So you've taken care of them. You've still got another. So that's 2 frames. You've still got another frame if you want to move again, or you can hold it if you want. It's up to you.
Just move me a little bit closer, like here or something.
Cool. Okay, perfect. Right. So next up to act is Phase Strike. So Phase Strike, what would you like to do?
What is Overlord doing at the moment?
He is currently grappling with the dragon. So the dragon is kind of looming over him, but they're kind of wrestling with each other. His attention is not on you, so you could certainly shoot him if you wanted to do so.
I think I'm a bit close to shooting, but I've got my claws.
Yeah, perfect. You can hit him with your claws, no problem.
I would like to smack him on with my claws.
Right, perfect. So he's got a DC of 2. You've got the weapon class of 2. So you've got to roll an 11 or better, but you're getting a +2 to that because he's unaware of your attack. Okay. So you've got to roll a 9 or better, basically. Yeah. Oh. You can have another go though, because don't forget you've got frames to burn here. So why don't you have another go?
Yeah, I'll have another go.
Perfect. Right, you hit him. Okay, so you do a damage with your claws. They do a damage of 2d6. So if you can roll me 2d6 hits to kill rather. So that's 7 hits to kill. and 1d6 hits. Sorry, 2d6. No, 1d6 hits Tacoma. Sorry.
Okay, that was a 2 then.
Yeah. Okay. Now he's got dividers, so he's unfortunately he's only going to take, I think, 1 point of damage from each of those. But you know, it all helps, right?
Yep.
Okay, cool. So perfect. Right, lovely. So you've and he can't really do much to respond to that because he's in the middle of grappling with a dragon at the moment. So okay, so next up we have Hyde. Sorry, Anorin. Sorry, Anorin's next to go. So what are you going to do, Anorin?
Going to twat him with my claws.
Okay. Same again then.
How many frames have I got?
You've got all of your frames, haven't you?
So I'm going to do that 4 times.
Okay, so it's basically all of them are 11 or better to hit because it's
Okay. So first one, hit. Second one, hit. Third one, miss. Fourth one, miss. So two hits. 2 hits, which are, so let's do that. So it's 4d6 hits. No. So it's 2 hits. So it's 2d6 hits Tacoma.
Yep.
So 1, 2.
Yep.
3 points. That's 3 points. That's rubbish.
Yep.
And 4d6 hits to kill.
Yep.
1, 2, 3, 4, 8, 10, 15 hits to kill.
Okay, so
plus 5. No, the claws aren't plus 5. Right, so the damage modifier on top of those is 10. So that was
25. Yeah, so that's 25 hits to kill.
And what did I get?
13
hits
hits
to
Tacoma. So 13 hits Tacoma. Right, so his hits Tacoma is divided by 5. So 13 divided by 5 is what going to be 3.
Yeah.
So that's down to okay, and then hits Tacoma. You've got 25 divided by 5, so that's 5.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, he's still standing, but that's actually his hits Tacoma are not looking too good at the moment. So okay, fine. So you twat him with that quite significantly. And next up we have Hyde to go.
Yep, I would like to swing my bat at the abominable sludge.
You got it. Okay, so if you would like to give me a bat slam, so it's a 4 versus a defense class of 3. So that is you've got to roll like a 9 or better.
15.
Actually, no, I stand corrected. Yeah. For some reason, he's actually struck as DC 12, so a 2 or better. You hit him anyway. So if you can give me 2d6 plus 6 first of all for the hits Tacoma.
Oh, not great. 10 points.
Yeah, and then it is 1d6 hits to kill.
6.
Oh, 6, lovely. Okay. Just a read through this. Oh, interesting. So, okay. So basically, you twat him, and your bat basically sinks into his body.
Yeah.
It seems as if he's made from as he looks. It seems that he's actually made from slime. So, you've done some damage to his hits to kill, but he doesn't actually take any hits to coma because any concussion damage sort of goes through him.
Okay.
So you twat him, and you can pull your bat back out, but you can feel it being dragged by the mess of him, basically.
Okay.
So yeah, you kind of a bit frustrated. You've hit him, but it doesn't seem to have really affected him, other than you've knocked a bit of his structure off because you've knocked some. The hits to kill translates as you've knocked a chunk out of him, basically.
Yeah, Steve, are there any fire extinguishers nearby?
Yes, I would certainly say there will be fire extinguishers in a. Yeah, absolutely. Let's say there's one over here. Hang on a minute, there. One over there.
Yeah. Okay.
20 years out of date, though.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, so there is one there. So you can. I mean, if you want, you've still got frames left, so you can go and you've probably got. I think you've got 2 frames left if you want to go and.
Yeah, I'm wondering if I douse him in some extinguishing substance, whatever it is, it might change his consistency and it might make a difference
good
to
idea.
hitting.
So why don't we say that you're gonna actually you've got super speed, right?
Super speed,
So
yeah.
you can run down, grab that, and you can run back.
Yep.
And then you can empty the fire extinguisher over him.
Okay, cool.
So you do that, and then we'll see how you get on next round. Meanwhile, Jenny, as she is called, she's obviously run out of the way to get out of the way of you two.
Yep.
Still looking for some sort of a weapon that she can find. Let's say that she runs over here and she'll probably pick up an energy weapon from one of the 2 guys that were taken out.
Yep.
Okay, so next up we've got I think Micron is obviously he's still futilely sort of pounding on the back of Overlord because Overlord's busy with the dragon, but it's clear that Micron can't really do much against the armor. So he's looking around. He's sort of pounding on him in frustration. And as I say, Jenny's run over here to pick up a weapon. I think what we're going to do then is we are going to pause it there until next time. As it's now pushing 20 past. Great, thanks everyone. I've thoroughly enjoyed that. So we will have the conclusion of Legacy of Eagles next time.
Cool, thank you, Steve.
Anyone got anything they would like to add before we sign off for the night?
Is anyone? Go on.
I was just making a note. I've made a note in my book, but if I don't remember, remind me to try and freeze this sludge monster with the frost cannon next session.
Oh, nice, yeah.
Perfect. I will listen to the recording again, and I'll remind you of that next time. Love that idea. By the way, love that idea.
I was going to ask this. You could chuck the weapon to Jenny, the woman, and therefore we have an additional person firing. Because you've got your sonar and attacks, and she could be using the frost cannon.
So what you could do
next time.
What you could do is something classic in this sort of thing, which is that you've already coated him with a conductive material. So then, if you hit him with the frost weapon to freeze his outer layer with the frost cannon. And then if Jenny then hits him with a weapon, could very well shatter him into pieces. Because if you imagine, you could harden the coating that you put on him with the frost cannon, and then you hit him with a projectile
T1000. Yeah.
Teamwork.
So I reckon that sounds to me like a plan, and we'll save that one for next time. So on that thrilling note, thanks again for playing Golden Heroes, and I will catch up with you all next time.
Cheers, everyone.
Cool. Lovely.
Have a great evening, Steve.
Yeah, thanks,
before
guys.
everyone signs off, is anyone going to the comic shop opening on Saturday?
I didn't even know there was a comic shop opening on Saturday.
What? Where?
In Crawley, in the County Mail.
So what is this? What do we know about this?
Cosmic Comics. So they're not quite a chain, but they do have 2 other stores. They got one in Red Hill and where's the other one? Maybe Lewis. I'm not sure, but they're opening in town on Saturday.
Oh, I'd
next to B&M, I believe, in County Mail.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, I know somebody had told me that they were in the County Mall. I'd love to go, but unfortunately, I think I'm preparing for our anniversary party on Saturday, so I'll be kept busy. But I will 100% be going there as soon as humanly possible. So yeah, please let me know.
I'm gonna go. So if anyone else is going, I might see you in there.
Oh, that'd be fantastic. Yeah, cool. Send us the deets if you don't mind, Kerrin. If you've got
we'll do. Yeah, I'll put it on the group. Actually, I think I've got a flyer. So.
Perfect. All right, guys. I'll thanks again for that. That's good. That's a fantastic news. Brilliant.
Yes.
I think we're done. Thanks very much, everyone, and congrats again to you, Jason, for your new edition. And I'll speak to all the rest of you later.